The Newsround on Off the Ball.
With Gillette, we don't just play the game, we change it. Gillette, made of what matters.
This is News Talk.
Well, Limerick, you're very, very happy this morning, and we're going to bring you some of that joy around 7:30 on the show today. We had the manager, John Kiley, we had Captain Declan Hannon, we had Graham Mulcahy linking up with some children at Crumlin Hospital. Obviously, that great tradition not possible in the usual sense, but we made it happen on OTB AM this morning, and there's some great stuff coming your way around 7:30. Brian O'Driscoll with us after 8 o'clock. World Cup draw 2023. Ain't easy. That quarter-final ceiling, I reckon it's going to be okay. Unfortunately, it's going to be France or New Zealand in the quarter-final, South Africa and Scotland in the group stages. Plus, the brain injury class action looms large over the sport as the opening weekend of the Heineken Champions Cup kicked off. So Brian on the way at 8 o'clock. Post 9, Stephanie Roach on a very nice end to a difficult year. Pat Nevin on a drab Manchester derby. Plus, Anne Downey watched her former team finally get over the line in the All-Ireland Camogie final. They were facing 4 defeats on the bounce after winning in 2016. We will talk to the former Kilkenny manager around 20 to 9 or so. 53106 is the text number. We're at Off the Ball on Twitter. Richie McCormack, evening.
Evening, Joe. How are you?
Very well. Adrian Barry, hello.
Good evening, Joe. Richie.
For those of you watching the stream, I will explain before we go any further, because this is not my usual attire. And Adrian Barry, similarly, not his usual get-up, although possibly an improvement. Wear to care, people, wear to care. This Friday on Off the Ball and News Talk, we are dressing up in our Christmas finest in support of the Irish Cancer Society. We are asking you to wear to care, help raise funds. You can wear cringy, tacky Christmas jumpers like Adrian. You can wear very stylish Christmas jumpers like me. You can wear a Santa hat, whatever you like. The point is, dress up this Friday and donate. It's obviously been a very difficult year for fundraising on a whole host of fronts, and the Irish Cancer Society needs your help. So it's Wear to Care this Friday, December 18th. You can search Wear to Care on justgiving.com and you'll find links to donate there. Equally, you can text WEAR, as in W-E-A-R, to 50300, 50300. Text costs €4 and the Irish Cancer Society receives a minimum of €3.60 from that. So, there we are. Adrian Barry, you'll have to pay double, I would think, for that get-up.
Look, Joe, I do want to begin by saying that anybody who was thinking about texting in any abuse of you, or, getting in touch on social media to give you any abuse for that jumper, I personally think that anything that was worn in 1985 that you can still get a run out of in 2020, I'm all for it.
Absolutely. Richie McCormack, we're going to have to see your get-up on Friday. You've got 4 days to get ready. I want something special.
Guarantee it will be special.
So, well, lots going on. Obviously, 2 All-Ireland finals over the weekend. The Camogie on Saturday evening, Kilkenny finally getting over the line. 4 All-Ireland defeats on the bounce would have been tough to take. Suddenly winning 2 since 2016 has a totally different sheen to it. And then yesterday, of course, Limerick exhibition stuff, 30 points to 19. They are a class apart, you would have to say, at the moment, and they're not going away anytime soon based on the age profile of the team. A really nice morning this morning on OTB AM. Adrian, the Crumlin Children's Hospital tradition, not possible for obvious reasons. The lads sort of made it happen this morning, and Sue Murphy did some great work behind the scenes, pulled it all together. So we had the kids in Crumlin quizzing the Limerick manager and a couple of players who were back home in Limerick.
Yeah, it was class, wasn't it? It was, that sort of thing. You always get to see the pictures and the news or the interviews are trickled out across the day of the trophies getting toured around the various children's hospitals, and you can tell the joy that they bring in the course of just doing that, and obviously not possible this year. So yeah, like you said, Sue, amazing idea, and herself and Tommy and Nathan really pulled it together, and they were in touch with the hospitals and the teams, and everybody was really delighted to do it. So I think Nathan obviously is really just getting involved on the basis that he's hoping that James Horan will be on next Monday.
Meanwhile, Richie, on the field, Limerick 30 points to 19 winners, awesome. Probably in control throughout, really. Half-time the game was still alive, but they just cantered away very, very easily, or certainly, I'm sure it's not easy. They made it look easy.
Yeah, we say at halftime that the game looked alive, and even I tweeted as much to say, like, Waterford's performance in the first half didn't necessarily justify a 3-point deficit at the break. They weren't really at Limerick's level throughout the first 35 minutes at all, but had found themselves, within touching distance Limerick made sure within the first 5 minutes of the second half that touching distance was going to be as close as they got, and incrementally edged themselves in front from that point on. And we're just a ferocious side from start to finish and from front to back. Nicky Quaid in goal was fantastic, pulled off a couple of brilliant saves along the way. Their full back line, and Sean Finn in particular, was amazing. And then you tack on those scores from the likes of Varun Galan and Gerard Hegarty up front. Like they're just amazing. There's no weak link. There's no passengers in that side at all. There's no one you can look at in that starting 15 yesterday and thought, they're probably a bit lucky to have picked up a medal yesterday. I think everyone along the way during the course of the championship, and especially yesterday, there was no letting up. I don't know if it was a case of just that was the difference between the sides, and that's the difference between levels at the minute, or whether Waterford got a little bit of stage fright. I think there could be a bit of combination between the two, but. I think for Waterford to get to that final this year, and Liam Cahill's first year in charge, and given the circumstances and all that stuff we're kind of tired of saying, I think that's an achievement that should be marked in and of itself. I think Waterford have done fantastically well to do that. For Limerick, though, to pick up this All-Ireland title is, I think, justification for where they've the platform they built for themselves over the course of the last 3-4 years. And it was Donal Cusack said it between matches yesterday, between the Joe McDonagh and the senior final. It almost highlights the fact that they really shouldn't have lost last year.
Yeah.
That they really should have been going for 3 in a row yesterday, and who's to say there isn't a few more in a row in that Limerick side? Yeah, true. It almost one of Brian Cody's finest hours last year to beat this Limerick team. With each passing moment, it gets more impressive. Nobody has an answer for the Bash brothers, Hegarty and Morrissey. Galan stepped up. I mean, the one thing, Adrian, and look, maybe with the distance players can hit the ball now, it's not necessary. The one thing you would say, if Limerick added an outright goal scorer to their team, and Eddie Brennan, who could catch it turning its heel and score a goal out of nothing, then, I mean, it would just be scary awesome. At the moment, they probably don't have an out-and-out goal scorer, but they don't seem to need one either, is the thing.
I was actually only thinking about it over the weekend, Joe. I'd agree with your point, but I was also thinking about the quality of score taken, and not just from this Limerick team. And I don't know if there's something like deeper to be read into it. What triggered it was the Keane Lynch point. I don't remember. I think it was in the first half. It was almost, I mean, it wasn't, but like it was almost if he was running away from goal and sort of nonchalantly threw the ball just up to his right hand side and sort of flipped it over his shoulder almost without looking. It wasn't far off that. And the quality generally of Limerick score taken and score taken in general, like you look across the championship this year, the likes of like Tony Kelly, that everybody's sort of totally forgotten. I mean, he's a shoe in for an All-Ireland anyway. And Galan that you mentioned, TJ Reid, Joe Canning. Like, I don't know if it's a culture over the last few years of teams been permitted to take a bit of a chance every now and then in a way that maybe they weren't done previously, or maybe we're just living in a golden age of I know players like unbelievable score takers gone previously, and so that's not needed to be pointed out, the likes of DJ and Henry and these incredible players. But I don't know, it just feels like at the minute we're living in a time of players willing to take a chance. Yeah,
it's not the taking a chance. That's the way they view it from this point on. I remember hearing that Liam Cahill had, I think it was Stephen Bennett was talking on the show. He was saying that they'd given them this sense where they were allowed to essentially make their own mistakes, and that they were allowed to learn what they're able to do and what they're able to not do on the pitch. And that's a great way to set a side out. But the calibre of player, and with the ability to strike a ball from distance, the chance element, I don't think we're talking about them taking a chance anymore. I think we're talking about them taking a fairly calculated shot at goal, and one that they're more often than not pretty convinced that they can score from. Yeah, honest mistake is the phrase Cahill drummed into the Waterford team. It's a bit of everything. It's most certainly the ball. You know, players of a bygone era didn't have this ball. Tommy Welch was even on yesterday. He was saying, 2003, this new spongy ball, as the people in the game would have called it at the time, came in, and that has changed the game. Like, we routinely see 60-point matches now. Not routinely, but we're not far off it, into that kind of perimeter. And also, I think you're right, Adrian. I think there is just a bit of a quantum leap of late in terms of the physique of the players in hurling, and also skill levels are off the charts. I mean, it's a joy to behold. Kenny Cunningham was on recently, and it was the morning after the Waterford-Kilkenny match, and he was kind of saying he'd found himself watching it, and he was like, hadn't been keeping track of the hurling all that much. Like, is this what it's like now? Almost kind of a thing. And I was saying, it's more skillful, it's better than ever. It's just phenomenal at the moment. It really is. So Limerick
coming your way 7:30. And Richie,
Joe,
Adrian.
Sorry to go across you. The number, I actually looked at it yesterday when the scores were coming in towards full time to see, because it was, what did they get in the end? 30 points?
Yeah.
Was it 30 points?
Yeah, could have easily had 35.
The volume of scores, like over the last, I think that might be only the third time in the last 12 years thereabouts that a team has scored 30 cumulative scores. It's like, it might have been Tipperary, I could be wrong, it could be Tipperary in 2010, and there was one other team, it might have been Kilkenny 3 or 4 years back, that would have got that number. But like that volume, like you say, goals probably not required. Like,
some people don't like it. We don't have time for that debate now. We've got to start the Newsround. Some people feel the scores are coming too easily at the moment. It's, short puck out, jog to the 65, knock it over, and it's, can be a bit like basketball almost. But that's a discussion for another time, I'm sure. The Newsround on Off the Ball on News Talk is with thanks to Gillette. We don't just play the game, we change it. Gillette, made of what matters. Richie, you've got some reaction from Limerick?
Yeah, Limerick securing their 9th All-Ireland title yesterday with that 30 points to 19 victory over Waterford at Croke Park. Gerard Hegarty scored 7 from play. Aaron Gillette contributed 10 points to the Treaty men's total, 6 of those coming from frees, while captain Declan Hannon also won plaudits for the tenor of his speech after the match as well. And on this morning's OTB AM, Hannon discussed the difference in celebrations from 2018 to yesterday.
I suppose after 2018, a lot of players were being pulled and dragged from pillar to post, and you hadn't a lot of time to meet the people you wanted to meet. So I suppose this time around we'll be able to, meet our families a lot quicker, I suppose, and that's a fantastic thing. I can't wait to go out and meet mum and dad and my brother. So I'm looking forward to that. But it's just over the moon this morning. I'm just delighted.
More of that on the way very, very shortly. Our next story, I guess this is a symptom of us getting older, but I saw Gerard Huillier passed away at 73, and I thought, my God, 73 feels a lot younger than it used to, I have to say. 20 years ago, I wouldn't have thought it was a bad age, but now it feels very, very young. Obviously, Rich, he had his heart issues for a very long time, back to his Liverpool days.
He's been walking a tightrope in terms of his health for the past 20 years, and that's unfortunately no way for a man to live. But former players, colleagues and employers leading the tributes today to Gerard Huillier. The former Liverpool and France manager has died at the age of 73, days after another heart operation. His managerial career started at Le Touquet in 1973, and he'd go on to have spells at the likes of Lens, Paris Saint-Germain, the French national team, of course, Lyon and Aston Villa. One of his successors as France manager, Didier Deschamps, shared his deep sadness of his passing today, while Huillier's former assistant at Liverpool, Phil Thompson, said he was heartbroken at the loss of his friend and former boss. Jamie Carragher played for 6 years under Huillier.
Obviously, everyone today on social media and speak a day something about what a lovely man, what a caring man, but he didn't work for, and you probably wouldn't know the real Gerard. He was a really tough manager in the nicest possible sense. I know he was a great manager. He really was. Learned so much from him, the way he shaped the squad, the discipline he had within the squad. He wouldn't back down to any player. There was no sort of player power at the club, anything like that. And no, I think if anyone had gone into any of his meetings, they may have gone a different maybe take on what type of not person he was, but certainly how demanding he was of his own team and how competitive he was to win.
Yeah, so Gerard Huillier, we'll touch on it more on the football show, but I'd say it was a real moment for Liverpool fans when they saw that this afternoon. Now, the World Cup draw 2023 made this morning, Rich.
Yeah, and Andy Farrell has revealed that Ireland could play the All Blacks 4 times before the 2023 Rugby World Cup quarter-final, or a potential quarter-final, we should say. Ireland were drawn in Pool B for the finals in France alongside the defending champion Springboks, Scotland, and 2 qualifiers, one of them from Europe, one of them from Asia, Oceania. Should Ireland reach the quarter-finals, they'll almost certainly face the All Blacks or the hosts, France. Farrell hopes to secure at least one autumn international with the All Blacks before then, with a 3-match tour planned for New Zealand in the summer of 2022.
Well, there's always different ramifications what happened in a World Cup, so we'll not get too far ahead of ourselves, certainly. Fortunately we get to play against France, and being able to have an opportunity to play against the host is always great, like we found in Japan. Obviously, Italy, we get to play against them, so we'll know them pretty well. New Zealand, we'll probably get to play them once, probably in the next couple of autumn series, hopefully. Maybe once or twice, but there's a tour in a couple of years' time that takes us to New Zealand, a 3-game tour, which is super exciting, something to build on. Yeah, that's in 2022. So Scotland and South Africa, Adrian, to be followed by either New Zealand in the quarter-final or a French team on French soil, rampant, DuPont, Entomac at their peak.
I mean, the one good thing you can say is we're not going to go into this tournament feeling too hyped up about our chances.
Can we just all agree to forget about the World Cup from here on till the end of time? It's never been good to us. This next one is going to be an absolute disaster for us. And it feels like, I don't know about everybody else, like without even being involved in the team, obviously, you just feel like you're beaten before you go into the thing. Like, it's psychologically, I don't know. Like, the difficulty will be, Joe, that we'll get close as the time and we'll all of ourselves, if we're in half decent shape, convinced that on our day we can beat this team, that team and the other. And I don't know, jeez, it feels... If you're Andy Farrell, imagine you're Andy Farrell. I'm surprised he didn't just break out laughing in the middle of the interview and go, listen, I'm on hiding to nothing there.
Listen, we're all about 2027. We always have been. That's what we're building towards. Yeah.
There was a horrible thing earlier on. I can't remember. I'm sorry to the Indo lads for mixing them up. It was either Cian Tracy or Rory O'Connor was saying that in the video that led into the draw this afternoon or this morning.
Rory O'Connor.
It was kind of Rory. It was a symptom of our status in the competition that we didn't feature at all in the history from '87 to last year. So, yeah, that's everything you need to know about Ireland and the Rugby World Cup and what's to come in, 3 years' time now.
Disaster of a draw for Ireland. Have to beat South Africa or New Zealand or quite possibly both to reach a semi-final. Not going to happen. We'll have to make do with another quarter-final appearance yet, says Con in Limerick, and then Colm in Dublin. Why is the Rugby World Cup draw not screened? All very suspect. Wales, Australia again. England, handy draw again. It's on YouTube, Colm. It's on YouTube. Not that I care. Yeah, no, it was screened. It was screened. I just don't think it was on TV.
Bunch of men in brown coats just drawing random sides against each other in the global. It's part of the global conspiracy, Joe.
Yeah, time to screw Ireland again, everyone. They said.
Yeah.
So
it's part of the Biden election.
Not the only draw on today. We have ourselves Champions League draw, Europa League draw, the David Moyes derby included.
Absolutely. We'll start with the Champions League draw. Jurgen Klopp returning to Germany for the last 16 of the Champions League, with Liverpool facing Julian Nagelsmann, RB Leipzig. Manchester City will face Borussia Mönchengladbach, while Chelsea will play current La Liga high flyers Atletico Madrid. While the potential tie of round sees Paris Saint-Germain take on Barcelona. Possibly neither will be winners of the competition, but it should be good fun regardless. Manchester United's drawn to face the La Liga leaders Real Sociedad in the last 32 of the Europa League. Arsenal will be away to Benfica for their first leg in the knockout phase. Tottenham must play the Austrians of Wolfsberger, while Leicester will take on Slavia Prague and Rangers will take on side Spurs are familiar with themselves, that being Royal Antwerp.
Champions League situation is just a little bit odd at the moment. Bayern Munich still feel like the best team in Europe. None of the other traditional big teams, be it Barcelona, Real Madrid, I guess I would throw in Man City at a risk of upsetting traditionalists, and Liverpool, obviously, you kind of feel Liverpool have been the best team in Europe last year despite their hiccup. They're nowhere near where they were. It's kind of an okay-ish, but frankly not vintage Champions League situation as things stand, Adrian. Maybe by springtime the bigger boys will get their act together.
I wonder, there are lots of reasons to think that this is not going to happen, but Lionel Messi last season at Barcelona, Maradona inspired.
Let me stop you there.
Final kick.
Let me stop you there.
You're absolutely right when you say there's no reason to think it'll happen.
Let me stop you there. If you've seen Barcelona at all this season, they've been reliant on Messi to a degree that's become unhealthy now at this stage, because everything else around them is falling apart pretty quickly.
You tried to say something there, Adrian. Your fader was down when you said it.
No, I'm saying it's easy. It is easy. I appreciate it's easy to argue with, and that's why I'm offering the theory that it might be ludicrous. But listen, that's the world I inhabit.
Well, listen, it sure is. If anyone's tuned in, the reason we're wearing Christmas jumpers is a charity push, by the way. I want to mention it again. Wear to Care. This Friday, we're all dressing up to support the Irish Cancer Society. So cringy, tacky jumpers or a Santa hat. Do what you like this Friday, the 18th, and then donate as well for the Irish Cancer Society. Wear to Care this Friday. Search Wear to Care on justgiving.com, or else just wear, WEAR, to 50300, and text costs €4 for that donation. The Irish Cancer Society will receive a minimum of €3.60 from that. Shamrock Rovers, Rich, they've made a signing.
Yeah, they've made a couple of them. They're reinforcing their back line. Stephen Bradley says it was a no-brainer to bring Sean Hoare to Shamrock Rovers. The defender has left Dundalk after 4 pretty successful seasons at the Oriel Park club. Joining him at Rovers next season will be the experienced former Burnley and DC United defender Chris McCann, who's now 33 years young. While Jonathan Sexton is in contention to return to the Leinster side for Saturday's Heineken Champions Cup meeting with Northampton, the out half was initially named on the bench for the weekend's win away to Montpellier, but he withdrew before the match with a dead leg. Gary Ringrose, another in contention. He'll be assessed ahead of that game at the RDS.
Yeah, the Leinster machine just rolls on, Adrian. They rolled the dice on selection. They had a bonus point win in France away. Northampton are already saying that they probably will rest a few players at the RDS this Saturday. So that is passport stamped. On you go, Leinster. Connacht did okay in France. Ulster struggled a bit against Toulouse in the end. Cheslin Cobley did his thing. And then Munster won. Well. We had commentary. A few late hits on Ben Healy. Didn't you see that? Johan van Graan livid about it. Yeah,
dead right too. Absolutely dead right. Like, Jesus, in the context of the conversations that gone on in the last week.
I know.
What the hell? Like, is there... one of them particularly was a yellow card that I thought was probably in the context of everything that's gone on at the minute, definitely a case for a red. And like also, there's been so much chat about him. It was pretty obvious. Like, it's classic 1980s, 90s rugby, like back row flying out, no hands, all over the out half.
Yeah. Dombrand, I think it was, the number 8, just saw the 21-year-old at half, decided to smash him, didn't wrap his hands. And as you said, like in the context of the weekend, you can imagine it's all anyone in rugby is talking about, and they're like, let's get our third yellow of the match by just smashing this lad no hands tackle. I thought it should have been a red as well in the context of where rugby is. But anyway, Brian O'Driscoll on the way after 8 o'clock. Where are we going next, Rich?
To the English capital. Matches in London are being forced back behind closed doors as of Wednesday. A surge in COVID-19 cases in the English capital has seen the city moved to Tier 3 status by the UK government. For the past week or so, the likes of Arsenal, Chelsea, Tottenham, Fulham and Crystal Palace have all hosted Premier League matches in front of 2,000 fans. However, London's move to Tier 3 means games there will be played in empty stadiums once again. But Chelsea manager Frank Lampard believes Premier League clubs should be exempt from the English tiered system.
Let's get it right. We are making it up as we go along, and that's not to sound critical, that's just a fact that we've never been in this position before. And I think when you're talking about can you control the situation, if clubs can control it, I think they've shown it so far that they can. So I would like to have thought that there could be something done to make it exempt where we can get that 2,000 number in. But again, that goes above my station. I'm just saying what I think.
Look, who knows where we are. I had cause to call Adrian Barry, or in fact you called me back, and as you called I was listening to the breaking news that there was a new strain of COVID in England which was more virulent apparently. And well, we can't repeat your answer to that in its true sense on air. There are kids in the car, but yeah, that's where we are, Adrian.
No, we won't. I'm not going to repeat that. The sentiment of it was, that's very disappointing.
Yeah, you must be joking.
Oh, bugger.
So... fellas, we'll leave the newsround for this evening. Adrian Barry, thank you.
Thanks, lads.
Richie McCormack, we'll be talking to you tomorrow. Cheers, Rich.
Ho, ho, ho.
Indeed. Post 8 o'clock, Brian O'Driscoll. Up next, though, the Limerick management and players on OTB AM this morning, hooking up with the children via Zoom at Crumlin Hospital, as well as chatting about winning the All-Ireland. We'll play some of that.
The Newsround on Off the Ball.
With Gillette, we don't just play the game, we change it. Gillette. Made of what matters.
Panadol presents Homegrown Heroes. When communities come together, ordinary people can do extraordinary things. Meet Fergus Lennon, a volunteer with Blood Bike Leinster.
We started Blood Bike Leinster back in 2013. We transport blood and blood products